The Fallout TV show was definitely a great show, and if you're watching this, you probably enjoyed the spectacular character that the Ghoul was. So what would the Ghoul have done if he was in the same shoes as Nate in Fallout 4? The real question is, can you beat Fallout 4 as the Ghoul? Now today the rules are very easy to follow, and there are a few changes to the game that I will mention. First, I'll be using two mods. These are the MT255 shotgun and the play as a Ghoul mod throughout the run today. Also for the weapons, the MT255 shotgun from the mod before is the only weapon I am allowed to use, and of course I will be playing as a Ghoul. I will also be altering my special stats to be exactly what Bethesda showed us the Ghoul's specials were. As for armor, I'll be using a militia hat and the wasteland outfit to look just like the Ghoul, and as usual, power armor will be completely banned, and so will every other piece of armor or clothing that are not the militia hat or wasteland outfit. Now those are the rules, and with them out of the way, let's begin. Starting off, when making my character today, I ensured to look as close to the Ghoul as possible with something I like to call mod magic. Following that, I watched some television, however I never saw myself on the screen, which was weird since I'm supposed to be a celebrity and all. I then set some temporary specials since, like I said at the start, we will follow what Bethesda said the Ghoul's special stats were. After that, I saw my kid who had a tad too much melanin to be my child, and when I confronted my wife, the whole world exploded. My cheating wife then died and my supposed son was kidnapped. Escaping my freezer, I escaped the vault, dodging all the rad roaches and locking them behind the vault doors. I then grabbed my Pip-Boy and upgraded my special stats to suit the stats that Bethesda gave us, which was a strength of 5, perception of 6, endurance of 7, charisma of 7, intelligence of 4, agility of 7, and a luck of 4. Out in the wasteland, my first goal was to acquire a gun. I did find some of the armor though that I needed outside of Sanctuary, and it fits the aesthetic quite well. Now, to get the aforementioned gun, I needed to head to Diamond City and speak to Arturo to buy the M255 shotgun. On the way to Diamond City, I stopped by at the Drumlin Diner to manipulate Trudy into shooting Wolfgang and Simone, while I sat around and spectated. During the shootout, Trudy left her shop unmanned, so I did a quick robbery, stealing some Stimpaks, aluminium cans, and other scrap she left around. Continuing to Diamond City, I stopped off at the Cambridge police station, where I stood in a fenced off area while Dance and Scribe Halen attacked the ghouls. I could swear, and maybe I'm going crazy here, but Halen never used to attack the ghouls. I then looted the police station for pretty much anything that wasn't nailed down. This mission, plus the one at Trudy's Diner, helped set me up for the start of the game, because I found drugs, Stimpaks, and a bunch of good scrap inside of the station and Trudy's Diner. Not long after helping Dance though, I arrived at Diamond City and spoke to Arturo, only to find out that the gun wasn't being sold, which left me like 3 or 4 options. The first one, kill a gunner who has the MT255 gun, which is impossible because we can't kill anything. Find it on a dead gunner killed by something else, which is almost impossible because I'll probably die by the time a gunner is killed by another NPC. And then another option is kill a unique enemy added by the mod for a unique variant of the gun, which is impossible because I can't kill anything. And the fourth and final option is to gain a bunch of experience, pretty much ruin the start of the game with glitches, so that I can buy the gun from the shop. I eventually decided I didn't want to scrap the run, and I ended up just spawning in the MT255 shotgun, which yes, this does break the run and technically fails it, but I still think it's not too bad, it's not too game breaking, and we'll be able to see if the gun is actually good enough to get me through the whole game, especially with all the extra rules. With the new gun to my name, I returned to Concord to kill some of the raiders there. The gun was quite average, acting like a shotgun, which is not really what I wanted, but luckily there is a slug upgrade that we can get soon, so I put up with it for now. Outside the museum, there were only a few raiders, so that section was fairly easy. Inside though was a tad more difficult. The first raider wasn't too bad and only showed me how rubbish it is to aim this gun, especially with the iron sights. But up on the top floor, I did what I would call being a record shitter, where I proceeded to miss 5 shots in a row out of the shotgun, which is just great. Despite my aim being horrible, my human benchmark actually says otherwise. I then spoke to Preston Garvey, who wanted me to kill the raiders outside the museum presto. Outside the museum, I began by shooting at the raiders. I then continued by shooting at the raiders. Shocker, I know, you may have expected me to be shooting at something else. Then the deathclaw came out of the sewers and it went ballistic, literally throwing a car in the town at some point. No idea who rubbed it the wrong way, but hey, I just stood back and watched as the thing literally played discus with a radar, sending them 10 meters right up into the sky. Once the deathclaw finished its tantrum, I began doing what any freedom-loving American does, despite my distinct lack of being American, and started shooting at the deathclaw. Now, if video games taught me anything, it is that shotguns at close range, especially point blank, hurt quite a bit. This meant the deathclaw could only take so many shots before it died by my hand pulling the trigger. I then returned to Preston and he gave me my meager reward, and I also got Gun Nut rank 1. With my new level of Gun Nut, I was able to upgrade the shotgun to use slugs instead of normal shells. If you don't know what slugs are, they are essentially a thick piece of metal inside of a shotgun shell, instead of the massive spread that buckshot has. So my shotgun pretty much becomes a normal rifle, or in this case a sniper rifle. This is because one side effect besides having more consistent damage is that the range of the gun went crazy, just the range values in game. So my VATS values also went ridiculous, which means if you see me drop VATS headshots from across the map, it is because of the mod, not because I'm cheating or anything. It's just if you look at the range values, they go crazy when you get slugs. I don't know why. To be fair though, I think it fits the Ghoul, who just blasts people in seconds, and it's not too crazy. Now with my new gun, I wanted to do my favorite side mission, and like I always say, a staple of this channel, and that would be the Old World Blues. We of course get to watch Paul have his tush trounced by Henry Cook. I then spoke to the literal butthurt Paul, and then convinced him to let me talk to Cook alone, to which he agreed. I then threatened Cook and went with him to a drug deal. At the deal, I got killed within a few seconds, and then returned the deal by killing all the triggermen within a few seconds as well. However, they don't get to respawn, so suck that. Bitch! I then looted all the drugs from the crates and stole Henry Cook's key. To end our drug dealing crime story, I finished it by blasting the head of Nelson Latimer clean off to tie up any loose ends, and then I looted Henry Cook's house, taking all his chems, especially his stimpaks. Now next on the agenda was to find the synth detective and bring him home. When I was there, I tried to kill Swan, but we all know that wasn't going to go well, so I was killed in a heartbeat. After that, I entered the station and began shooting. The shotgun was pretty decent and could kill some of the triggermen in a single slug shot. The first room was fairly easy, especially since I could just kill one of the triggermen before I was even seen. After that, I used VATS to blast 2 more triggermen, and that left just one guy who ran to the bathroom to change his tampon because he's being a bloody pussy. I then turned him into a pile of blood instead. Moving further into the station, I continued my shootout with me getting shot out. Trying again, I continued my shootout with me getting shot out. Trying again, I continued my shootout, and this time it was actually a success with me using VATS to blast through some of the triggermen. After that, I utilized the amazing Fallout 4 cover system, which I only learnt how to use today, to kill off some of the triggermen. I then shot my way through what remained of the triggermen resistance, and I opened the vault door with my Pip-Boy. Inside the main area of the vault, I continued to use this unique cover system that I'd never really used, and found out it is quite overpowered when I was sniping out all of the triggermen before they could really hurt me. I also rushed what remained of the triggermen who did not engage in the initial battle, and also blasted them out within seconds. As for Dino, he faced the usual fate of being murdered because he was way too engrossed in Nick Valentine's face to notice me standing right next to him with a gun pointed right at his not-so-chrome dome. I then rescued Nick Valentine and I began escaping from the vault. On the way out, it was quite unique and fun, since most of the triggermen came in a group of 1 or 2, and I was pretty much just a badass walking through the vault and just blasting and killing every single triggerman in one shot. As for Skinny Malone, I actually managed to kill him the first time, but Darla died after I told her to kill him, so I reloaded a save to try and keep her alive as well. That was a massive mistake because for some reason I just struggled to kill Skinny and his gang another time, dying probably around 7 to 8 times I would say. My biggest struggle was easily the limited ammo capacity of my gun and the need to constantly reload, which left me dead very often. I did eventually get a winning run though where I killed everybody but Skinny Malone, and I couldn't kill him for some reason, and the game pretty much had just made him immortal to my bullets only. Instead though, I watched Darla whoop his fat ass with her baseball bat before she scored a home run.
Home run!
After leaving Park Street Station, I went on the hunt for some gunners. I did soon find a few gunners liaising around in the inner Boston city who I went out of my way to kill. The reason I did this is because the gunners have a chance to have the MT255 shotgun, which most vendors were refusing to sell for some reason. Luckily, one of the gunners had it, and it also had some very good modifications, such as semi-auto, which would have to be Gun Nut 3 to use, and we would never get near a level that we reached Gun Nut 3. After that good drop though, I went to the goodest neighborhood just to mark it off for later, and also killed Finn because fuck that guy. I hate Adventure Time. Now next up on the list today is to get railing on the railroad, so I went to the Old North Church and shot up all the ghouls who were peacefully resting. I then entered the not so secret password, which I guessed by coincidence, and answered Desdemona's questions. Now, to get access to the Railroad HQ, I went to help Deacon do Deacon things. First, I spoke to Ricky, who gave us some intel on Slocum Joe's, and he told us it was filled with synths. Inside, I could kill any synth in 2 shots if one of the shots was a headshot, and if none of them were headshot, it would take 3 body shots. As I blast my way through one of the larger groups of synths, let's discuss why I am going with the Railroad as my faction today. I am of course playing as the Ghoul, which I'm sure that you would know by now, and if you haven't watched the Fallout show, then I should explain he's quite shrouded in mystery and he's fairly secretive. Most of the characters of the show don't know his history or his motives, so if he worked for some underground organizations, I would see it as very plausible. We should also note, he hates the Brotherhood of Steel, or at least he killed a bunch of them during the show, and I think the Institute is a little bit too advanced for him, and something that he doesn't like, a secret underground society similar to that of Vault-Tec. That means there are only 2 factions left, the Minutemen or the Railroad, and I think the Minutemen, they're kind of fitting, but they're a bit too goody two-shoes for him, and they're not as morally ambiguous, so that means the Railroad it is. Further into the Railroad or ex-Railroad HQ, I continued shooting up some of the synths, and not long after I grabbed Carrington's prototype. I then fought my way out to reach Railroad HQ, achieving this by using this secret back room to pick the synths and turrets, making my life way easier. After which I returned to Dr. Carrington. Carrington then said, "Hey, go do something for me," to which I said, "Yes, boss." I then spoke to Old Man Stockton and agreed to
facilitate delivery.
I then shot up the local church for the delivery, which is quite a fuck line to say actually. That's pretty fucked, but it's too late to go back now. I then waited till High Rise came and I spoke to him. When delivering H222, I was killed by a suicidal screaming super mutant with a shattering sky-splitting shriek. I'm Shakespeare, I know, no need to tell me. Trying again, I killed all the raiders who were inside the little house area, and after that, I let the suicider kill High Rise, since he has mega plot armor and literally cannot die. Soon I reached High Rise's High Rise, and said toodles to H222 and High Rise for now. Now the next goal for me was Ballistic Weave, and so it was side quest time. First quest was I had to check up on Safe House Autumn, and when I walked in, I was a bit unsure at first if the safe house was really compromised. I mean, a few burning corpses in the center of a room surrounded by a bunch of raiders who would also soon be corpses is not really a telltale sign that any safe house has been compromised at all. I mean, every single time I walk in one of those secret government buildings, there's always just burning bodies and all their documents on fire. Now, because of my doubts, I ventured further in the building till I found the final record of the safe house, which probably said something to the effect of, quote, "Hey fuckers, I don't see why you would look for this like a moron, but in case you couldn't tell, we're dead." Also, we should note I went further down to the bottom because I thought there was a deathclaw inside, but I guess I was wrong. Never mind, I was actually right. I have no clue how a few raiders got a deathclaw down here, but I guess I need to kill it now. To kill the deathclaw, I used drugs, and a Nuka-Cola Quantum to, well, kill the deathclaw, plus a very high amount of shotgun shells to really damage it. After many blasts and a lot of drug abuse later, the deathclaw finally died. Back at the HQ, I was given another mission to get a stash of items. This mission was quite straightforward if I'm fully honest. I just went to the location and shot at all the gunners since I caught them lacking. I then entered the safe room, which had a few more gunners that I blasted, and finally I searched the stash, completing the mission. Back at Brotherhood HQ, I had unlocked Ballistic Weave and I tried it out, just to find out it doesn't work on any of the clothes which we'll be using today, so that annoyed me quite a bit and was an epic waste of my time. Back on the main story though, I spoke to the newly freed Nick Valentine, who's not so newly freed anymore, and he said that it must be Kellogg who kidnapped my kid. I then visited kidnapping Kellogg's house and looted the shit out of his secret room and allowed Dogmeat to sniff his cigar. After that, I fast traveled to Fort Hagen since I already marked it off for a nearby railroad mission. Outside the fort, I sniped the turrets down with my shotgun before they could rip me to shreds, and I entered the fort. Inside, the synths were not too easy, but not very hard. I was still able to 3-shot synths or 2-shot ones with a headshot, so my gun worked quite well. It is important to note that I used the semi-auto shotgun here mostly because I could just spam left click and it would fire like a machine gun that only had a 5-bullet magazine. After I fired that though, I'd have to sit through a 5-hour seminar of me reloading it. Despite this massive disadvantage, some well-placed shots could easily destroy 2 or sometimes 3 synths per clip, which was enough for me to push through the whole entire fort. Not long after, I cleared one last group of synths walking down a hallway with a sneak attack and a machine gun blast, and then I spoke to the big bad Kellogg.
Fuck you, Kellogg.
This fight went fast, and the second I got a chance, I blasted Kellogg in the head, because I knew if he went ninja mode, my shitty aim would mean my chances of hitting him would equal to about 0%. Kellogg went down very quickly and so did his synth buddies, which was of course to my benefit. After that, I looted Kellogg and I grabbed his brain matter. Back in Dimhid City, I spoke to Nick and Pipe Cleaner and discussed killing off Kellogg. I then went off to Good Neighbor and spoke to Dr. Amari. After which, I pulled the Frankenstein card on her.
Could you say that like Dr. Frankenstein? Ego, fetch me the brain.
I then watched Kellogg's life story unfold and I used the most not sarcastic response ever to Nick Valentine.
You wanna try for round 2? Let's go!
I don't think screaming in anger is sarcasm, but maybe I will try it out. How's your day been? Fucking shit, you wanna go for round 2? I'll fucking kill you, you little fucking cunt, fuckhead fuck. See, it was sarcasm, and if you don't think it was, you can tell me otherwise, but obviously me swearing and screaming and berating you is complete sarcasm, and I think Bethesda got that memo. Now with Kellogg's memories read, it was time to grab the information for Virgil in the glowing sea. On the way to his cave, I killed the deathclaws on the highway by hiding under the broken bridge and taking some pot shots at the deathclaw, who couldn't fit under. The deathclaw then started running once it realized I had outsmarted the system, and I made a charging attack against him and used 10 shotgun blasts to kill the massive beast. The deathclaw's buddy then got some revenge against me by quite literally beheading my body. Further in the glowing sea, I got chased by a bed of scorpions, and there wasn't 1 or 2 or 3, no, there was like 6 of the fuckers, who just appeared from who knows where. I had to chug medical supplies and chems like a hardcore addict to even have a chance at killing those bastards. Not long after, I reached Atom's chosen children, who told me where to find Virgil. I then killed the deathclaw outside of Virgil's cave by taking more pot shots at it, and then again just running after the animal once it began to run from me. After I killed the deathclaw with a few more shots, I spoke to Virgil and went off to Green Tech Genetics. Inside the Green Tech Genetics building, I started shooting up the gunners. Headshots were once again my best friend here, allowing me to kill a multitude of the gunners extremely quickly and made the battles much more smooth. I then took a good sniper shot at the missile gunner because you bet I was not taking that guy on in a fair head-on-head fight, since it would just result in my death an absurd amount of times. As for the Corsair, well, it was a complete shit show. Remember how I stated, if he went ninja mode, my shitty aim would mean my chances of hitting him would equal to about 0%. Well, the Corsair does the same shit, but he kept engaging his stealth. I died to him probably 5 to 6 times without any of my attempts even coming close to to being a success. Eventually, I gave in and I used some of the scummy tactics of just shooting him before we spoke. This resulted in the Corsair not enabling his stealth buoy and allowed me to kill him much easier. With the Corsair chip now in my possession, I had the thing analyzed, and then I built the signal interceptor at the railroad safe house. Following that, I teleported into the Institute and spoke to Father, who is ironically my son. After that, I met with Patriot, the man helping free the synths, and also had a chat with all the Institute heads to get to know them better, which to be frank, I don't give a fuck about. I spoke to Ali, then I received the usual unpleasantries from Madison Lee, and also the aggressive behavior from Jason Yao. Finally, I spoke to the head of bioscience, finishing the chatting missions. Back in the Commonwealth, I went to the Cambridge Polymer Labs to acquire an important code for Patriot so we can free more synths. Take note here of how I destroyed Molly when I entered the building. I then shot up all the ghouls inside of the laboratory and snuck through the vents. Inside the containment area, I grabbed the key code and activated the security. Now I'm not sure how or why or even any godly reason as to who did this, but the Molly robot returned from the dead and I had the pleasure of destroying it once again. I can also confirm that the robot did in fact die twice. Now to uphold my cover, I needed to ensure that the Institute did not suspect me of treason, so I went to take on the Libertalia Raider gang. The Raiders actually were not the biggest problem which I faced, because some of the super mutants wanted to have their way with me. I was able to kill them off after a very long struggle, especially by the skirmisher, who was quite a pestilence and took multiple clips worth of ammo to kill. After that, the Brotherhood of Iron arrived and wanted to kill the Corsair as well, so I of course shot down the vertibird by killing the pilots, and after that I let the powered armor knights have their way with the raiders. As the knights killed the enemies out front, I pushed further into the raider base, killing off the mini nuker with a very lucky VAT shot. I then rode the lift up to the main ship, and I continued killing even more of the raiders who stood between me and their boss. I then spoke to the raider boss and used his reset code to switch him off, and following that I blasted the raiders who were perplexed as their boss had just switched off as if he was a machine, which I guess he technically is. Back at the Railroad HQ, I spoke to Desdemona about the future plans of the railroad and relayed the information to Z114 to see what he thinks about the plan to stage rebellion. Father then sent me to Bunker Hill, where he would use an extremely top secret element of surprise to reclaim some of the lost synths. I then accidentally told the whole entire railroad about the secret plan to attack Bunker Hill. Desdemona then told me to kill the Corsair who was with me, which I did, and I left his body in the alleyway. I then let all the synths go free because that is what my society does. After that, I spoke to Father on top of the CIT ruins, and I told him straight to the face, just completely blunt, I just let the synths go, to which he was not pleased with my decision. So of course, he sent me to attend the director meeting, where logically he made me next in line to be director of the Institute, after I just broke every single rule about reclaiming synths, how you should treat synths, and the mentality behind them. Now the next task of mine was to speak to Ali Fillmore about grabbing the beryllium agitator. Arriving on the roof of Mass Fusion, I killed off most of the Brotherhood soldiers quite fast. Anything besides knights I was able to kill with twice but one shotgun bullet. As for the knights in power armor, well, they required much more than just a single shotgun blast. I needed to reload many times and use a few drugs to get myself through the fight and actually allow myself to have a fighting chance against them. I then grabbed the keycard and rode the elevator down Mass Fusion. On the way down, I shot at some of the Brotherhood members who didn't even suspect to be shot. They were just minding their own business until I came along. As for the Brotherhood ambush, I used drugs to shoot up the powered armor soldiers before they could shoot me as well. I then killed the 2 weaker scribes and initiates and restarted the power for the elevator. Once that was done, I grabbed the beryllium agitator and started to fight the sentry bot. Because of my overabundance of medical supplies and anything that really healed me, this fight went well and I was able to destroy the robot with minimal effort. I even got an epic finishing attack as I jumped through the sky while I was completely stoned off my nutter and high to another universe, and I kept shooting the sentry bot until it exploded. As for the assaultrons, well, I destroyed one of them and Ali destroyed the other, so they weren't really a big issue at all, since they are just two little weak robots. After grabbing the agitator, I thought, hey, now is probably a good time to shoot up Diamond City, because that is what the Ghoul does in the TV show. There isn't much to say about this besides I pretty much killed every single killable NPC and all the security guards who were protecting them. This would be dumb because if I ran out of ammo again, which I did, I would have 2 less vendors who would sell to me, which meant my big shopping runs would take even longer. After that, I returned to the Institute and recorded the funny message.
Pathetic existences.
I then went right back to Diamond City, who weren't hostile anymore, and I powered up the Diamond City radio. Now back at the Institute, I spoke to Z114, who was in my private quarters, and he informed me that the Brotherhood was going to attack the Railroad HQ. Now, I made it back just in time, teleporting to the HQ and warning Desdemona, and then right after the Brotherhood busted the walls down. Now, the biggest problem in this mission would be the generous amounts of armored soldiers which Bethesda would throw my way. Luckily, I had discovered that 5 shots to the head from my semi-auto and a switch to my pistol would be more than enough to kill each soldier. Coupling this with some jet, I could handle a single night easily. Inside the catacombs, I continued this strategy against each armored unit, which I came across, and since they were only by themselves or with a single initiate, it was easy pickings. I did struggle against the legendary knights and sentinels, however, because they were a duo power armor gang. I was annihilated multiple times by these Brotherhood soldiers. Eventually, I did get a lucky run where I killed one of the soldiers and then I ran for cover, through which the other one followed me. I then ambushed the loser that followed me behind a door and killed them before they could do very much damage to me. Now, to ensure the Railroad actually had a future, I had to make sure the Brotherhood of Steel took a quick abseiling trip right into the floor of the Boston airport. To do this, I needed to secure the Cambridge police station. On the way in, I shot up each Brotherhood member outside the station, and inside the station I got a power trip as every single enemy was so weak they took 1 shot to kill. This meant I could walk through the police station as the Ghoul would've, just shooting nonchalantly at everything with no discrimination. On the roof of the station, I took the enemy vertibird out of the sky, and then I flew my own vertibird over to the Pridwin. After that, I attached the bombs to the gas tanks of the airship, and then I ran far and fast until Elder Maxon had his way with me. After that, I flew away from the Brotherhood ship and died. Rewinding time, I lived, and I watched the ship go down in flames as it descended into the airport below. Now with the Brotherhood dead, all that remained was the Institute, and the evil slave-loving pieces of absolute shit who dwelled within. To begin the assault, I was tasked with killing everybody inside the teleporter room. I initially killed all the security guard synths, but for some reason the scientists didn't budge. The objective was quite clear though and literally meant kill everyone, so I killed all the unarmed scientists as well. After, I teleported Desdemona and her crew in, and I began the full Institute assault. Starting off, I killed some of the synths in the shantytown section of the Institute. These synths were not too difficult, especially with my extreme high amounts of medicine, so I was pretty much immortal. Further inside the Institute bioscience section, it was a similar story, with the only big difference being that of the gorillas, who I had to kill. Honestly though, it was just like hunting. After that, inside the big section of the Institute, I continued the streak of shooting up all the synths and courses, which again, was not a struggle at all. Finally, I spoke to Father and put him out of his misery. I then made the literal last mega push against the nuclear reactor. I started off by killing every single Institute scientist before they could even react, or for that matter, even blink. After, I started attacking the synths, killing them one at a time until no one was left. I killed normal synths, I killed courses, I killed legendary synths, I even killed some of the turrets that were located on the roof. I then placed the bomb onto the reactor and I took Sean with me and blew up the Institute, officially beating Fallout 4 as the Ghoul. For the post-run thoughts today, well, I will just start off by saying yes, I know someone else has already done this run recently, but it has been in the making on this channel for quite a while, and I felt my run had quite a few different rules that allowed me to really keep it and not scrap the run entirely. Other than that, it was of course a fun one, and I did enjoy this run quite a bit. If you also enjoyed the run today, then do consider subscribing to the channel to support me. It is very much appreciated and allows me to make these videos. To all the people who have subscribed, a massive thank you to you, and to all the people who just subscribed as well, I appreciate it even more. Now, I just want to say, I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. I don't think screaming in anger is sarcasm, but maybe I will try it out. How's your day been? Fucking shit, you wanna go for round 2? I'll fucking kill you, you little fucking cunt, fuckhead fuck.